NZ Aerosports, Icarus Canopies, now Gyro. That's right, we've rebranded, and Gyro is our next generation. It honours our founder, as that's the name we knew him by, but Gyro also marks the start of a new chapter. And not to be biased, but it's going to be fucking epic. Long story short, we're more us than ever, so if you're new to the sport, or even a Sky God Ninja Turtle, welcome. I think our valiant leader Lucy, Gyro's daughter, says it best.
And we still got that fuck yeah attitude. Rebrand! Woo!
Rebrand woo indeed, Lucy. Anyway, head over to gyro.com for more info and get amongst your legends.
I was 19, broke, unemployed, and sold my girlfriend's canopy for drug money. So I thought I better sew her a new one. What a sentence, and what a story. This describes the humble yet outrageous beginnings of NZ Aerosports, the home of Icarus Canopies, in the words of our founder himself. From getting a paratrooper toy from his mom, watching parachutes at the DZ as a 6-year-old, jumping off the wharf with a parachute made from bed sheets, doing his first jump at 16, sewing his first canopy on a borrowed machine at 19, and starting to sell parachutes out of a garage in 1986, Paul Gyro Martin had an undying love for the sky. Our company started with one man with the wildest of spirits and a true blue sky dream, a renegade. In the time that Gyro created and ran the Icarus Canopies brand until he passed away in 2017, he pushed everything he had to its limits. We miss him, and we always will. Gyro is the next generation of NZ Aerosports. It honors our founder, of course, because it was the name we all knew him by, but Gyro the rebrand also marks the start of a new chapter, our next jump. Gyro is the space between sound and silence, art and science, chaos and calm. Gyro is a state of epic tranquility that transcends understanding. That moment, in the door, in free fall, mid-swoop, where nothing but the present exists. A perfect balance of euphoria and thrill. Gyro captures our passion for flying and our commitment to designing break-the-fucking-rules canopies that deliver pilots pure, wild flight.
Coming straight from the cockpit, it's another episode of Lunatic Fringe with the fucking pilot.
Ready, set, go. All right, once again, it is the fucking pilot back in the can for another edition of Lunatic Fringe, and it's a special one, too, because I've got a co-host on this one. Who the fuck are you?
You guys have talked to me before. David Jr. Ludwig.
Oh, look at this trying to put on the sexy radio voice bullshit, man. Talk like yourself, Jesus.
Yeah, it's Junior back at it.
All right, we got Junior back at it, but again, via the magic of the internet, we got somebody with some serious shit to talk about, man. Cool stories and a whole lot of history. So who the fuck are you, and what do you do?
Well, after the introduction, I'm up on a pedestal. My name is Rook Nelson, and I run Skydive Chicago.
Oh, Rook Nelson. Yes, you do run Skydive Chicago, don't you? Oh, man. Even if they don't know who you are, everybody knows Skydive Chicago.
Yeah. I mean, we try to make a footprint out there.
A footprint? Jesus Christ, a big footprint. There's no doubt about that. That's Skydive Chicago is kind of the end-all, be-all when you think of big drop zone skydiving.
Yeah, I mean, we like to have fun. I think there's an advantage of us only being able to do it for part of the year because we like to get done what we can get done in a season, take a break, and then go at it again.
It is kind of a feast or famine mentality, isn't it? You got to get it done while make hay while the sun shines?
Yeah, make hay while the sun shines. My first drop zone I was sponsored at, the DZO told Mike Swanson and myself that, and I kind of have always had that in the back of my head for a really, really long time now. And that's what we do, man, like make hay while it shines.
Yeah, man.
It's going to be a rainy day.
Well, the Midwest is definitely that way. Well, so for those that don't know the name or don't know the history, how did you get started in skydiving?
Yeah, so I'm a third generation skydiver. My grandfather was in the 82nd Airborne, and through stories that he told my father forged his waiver when he was 16 and did his first jump up in Hinckley.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and that was a long time ago. And then from there, he started a drop zone in 1982, just outside the Chicagoland area. And he just went at it. And in 1984, I did my first jump before tandem was even invented. It was an old gliding harness that they basically carabinered and parachute cord strapped myself to my dad, and we went and skydived.
And how old were you then?
Yeah, I was 4 when I did the first one.
Wait, you were 4?
Yeah, and it's pretty crazy. And a lot of people are like, do you remember that jump? And that's got to be insane. And to be honest, I don't remember the actual jump. What I remember about that was there's a picture of it here at Skydive Chicago, and they're holding me. I'm actually like outside the airplane, and when they were doing the jump, they had me in this harness, and the harness was just basically webbing that was like woven together to create like a structure that I wouldn't fall out of.
Right.
And it was just that. It was just webbing. There was no padding. There was nothing. And I remember as I was hanging there by these carabiners, I was like, my legs were going numb, right? Because it's just webbing. And so they ended up going over to the packing mat and like cutting out carpet padding and shoving it underneath the leg pads. And in the picture, you see like all the carpet padding like around my junk. And that's the part I remember. I don't remember the actual jump, though.
I just don't know that there is any part of that that's a good idea.
I mean, it must have been a good idea. It worked out well.
I mean, it did. It was
looking back on it, though. So, I mean, you're 4 years old. I don't remember anything about being 4 years old, and I certainly don't remember wanting to do anything as a 4-year-old. Certainly not jumping out of an airplane. But I mean, holy shit.
Yeah, I joke about it. I'm like, man, I just, take the trash out. Otherwise, you get tossed out of an airplane.
Fucking hell! Oh no, man. Well, and again, like you said, this was pre-tandem, so they were just kind of making it up. You were the test dummy, so to speak.
Pretty much. The first jump was from about 7,000 feet. It was like a 15-second delay, and I did a couple more jumps between the ages of 4 and 6, and the later ones were actually on tandems. And I'm sure the tandem masters were stoked, right? Taking a kid, not some 250-pound big person.
Yeah.
But it was cool, and then, after those handful of jumps when I was really young, it was 94. I started again. I was 14 years old, and I think I got 27,000 jumps now.
Jeez.
Just won my 10th world championship, so I've been getting after it.
Yeah, you've been at it for a little while. I took I worked in New Zealand for a season a bunch of years back, and they don't have an age limit out there as well. And the youngest now that I've ever taken was an 8-year-old. And even as an accomplished tandem instructor, I was shitting my fucking pants. I threw the drogue and wrapped my arm around the kid, so for the entire skydive, I'm just holding on to the kid, knowing damn well that's not going to do anything if it goes to shit. So I can't even imagine back then being 4 years old and you're basically just tied by webbing. To go from that to becoming, multiple world champion running the biggest drop zone, holy shit, there's quite a story there.
Yeah, to continue on the story, I started when I was 14 and just started jumping my butt off, and I was actually packing parachutes, so I was making a really good living being 14 years old, just jumping when I could. And then, flash forward, as soon as I finished high school, I moved out and still was working at the drop zone. And then flash forward to 2003, tragic accident. My dad passed away in a really low canopy collision. And it kind of thrusted me to running the big show. My sister and I were very active in the industry and the sport and our business. So it was pretty good that I wasn't like in a different career path and then, had to switch gears all of a sudden. I was very active in it. And definitely a game changer, to say the least. I think I had blue hair, and it was the 90s, so we were having a good time.
Right.
And so, cut the hair off, get the right clothes on. And I was hopeful that I would never make a big enough mistake that I would lose everything. And I've made some mistakes, but I remember when I got the Sebastian deal, it was the right place, right time. And, I not only did I had taken over what my father had done, but I started to grow the business. And I remember that very vividly, because I was like, man, I'm doing it. I'm not just surviving, I'm thriving.
Sure.
And I remember going into the bank like, and trying to ask him for money. Like, just, I've never been to business school. I'm a product of public education out here in the cornfield. So I remember going to the bank just so nervous, like, man, I got to ask these guys for $1 million, because I sold Sebastian before I even had an airplane for him. So I was like, fuck, what am I going to do? So went into the bank, asked for some money. They gave it to me. I walked out thinking I had lucky underwear on and I should save these for the rest of my life.
Right.
And then made it happen, went and bought an airplane and got it down there. And now I think I'm up to 8 airplanes now. Just got a second Skyvan and just been getting after it, and I feel fortunate that I'm surrounded with a really good team of people, and they love what they do, because we certainly don't get paid enough money, but there's a lot of passion in what we do, and I think it shows. And I think the people see it too. We keep winning Drop Zone of the Year, and it's humbling and empowering at the same moment. So it's been fun.
Yeah, for sure.
So I think we met each other back, early 2000s for sure.
Yep.
And I think at that point, you guys had maybe 2 otters or 3 otters, I think, and you were selling one of them at the time. So to watch the growth that you guys have had over the years is just incredible, to see it from the outside perspective and to see how the drop zone has grown and changed over the years.
Well, one of the cool things that I always thought about Skydive Chicago, I spent a little over 4 years working for the competition for Chicagoland Skydiving, which is, I guess you can't even call it competition, because you guys are definitely the big show, and it's more of a medium-sized drop zone, or at least it was when I was working there. But one of the biggest memories for me of that time was every year, come 4th of July, we'd pack shit up and go to your place, because that's where the fucking party was. I mean, everybody was like, can we finish at this drop zone now, because we want to go to the big one where all the fun stuff is happening. And I had never been to Skydive Chicago before that very first 4th of July. And you come pulling up down this road that looks like it's in the middle of fucking nowhere, and I'm like, there can't be a goddamn drop zone out here, no way. And next thing you know, there's a couple of trailers, and I'm like, all right, it looks a little bit like a drop zone, but then there's a lake and a massive hangar and all this shit
in a neighborhood.
I could not believe my eyes, because by then, of course, Skydive Chicago was extremely well established. But from the very first moment that I walked on there, I knew it was a whole different game. I mean, where did the vision come from that? Because, I mean, I know your father had a huge vision and took it quite a long way, but you've gone next level.
Yeah, I think, and to give Doug credit, like he built a new facility, and it's beautiful. I mean, it's probably the nicest skydiving facility. But I think it goes beyond the facility, right? You have to have the right people in the right culture to really kind of make things fun.
Oh, yeah.
And, my dad he had a very colorful past, and I think some of his visions came from his colorful past.
That's one way to put it.
Yeah, to be politically correct. We still have the placemat of when he drew this place out as he was at a restaurant here in Ottawa to his good friend Michael John. And Michael John, with the foresight to know that his friend is going to do this, takes the placemat and makes this big kind of like plaque with it, and it's up against the wall, and it kind of resembles it. There's definitely some changes, but just to be able to see that it's crazy,
Sure.
And I think my father was a deal maker, whether it was illegal or legal, he was good at it. And, he just loved putting things together. He would just love to see things happen. And he was a builder. And then, here I come along as a skydiver, and, having been to the competitions and world meets and nationals, and being, pretty involved in the competition scene, I saw this place as a great venue for hosting competitions and hosting events, world records, everything. I don't think there's an event we haven't done yet.
Sure.
And it lends itself really well, because, we can have a lot of people out here and it doesn't feel overwhelming, and we can do world records because our landing area is gigantic. And plus we're in Illinois. I mean, you can land anywhere, really.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, there's
soybean or corn.
Yeah, there's not too many places that you can't land out there. It is a huge facility. It's absolutely enormous. For anybody that's not been to Skydive Chicago, you cannot conceive of just how fucking big this place is. It's huge. I mean, a few different years when I was working for CSC, we would come over for the 4th of July fireworks. We'd wrap up, and then we'd fly over in both the planes, and we'd do a flyby. But the flyby started like a mile away because it's ridiculous. That place was so huge. And with all the different events, I mean, you kind of basically took over the World Freefall Convention. So when did that start to transition?
For sure. So we actually started the convention, my father did, back in the 80s in Freeport, Illinois, with the Freak Brother Convention. And he had this fraternity where, it was the Freak Brothers because him and his brother had really long hair. So they got the nickname the Freaks.
Sure.
And then they just kind of ran with it. So they called them the Freak Brothers. And then that evolved. We were in Freeport. We were in, where'd they go? They went Bigfoot, Freeport. And then we outgrew those. And then they moved to Quincy. And he started running the World Freefall Convention up until 1988, and then he had to go work for the government for a few years. In the interim, Don took it over and did a great job. He got a lot of airplanes in there, and it's still to this day the largest skydiving event that's ever happened in Quincy. I think it was 5,500 people or something.
Yeah.
And it was right in the heyday, right when Point Break came out, and skydiving was at its heyday.
Sure.
But then, as that kind of started dying off and more drop zones started getting turbine airplanes, we kind of evolved it to where, it's not just turbine airplanes and it's not just being able to skydive. Like, how do you go beyond the boogie, right? You have good organizers, world champions, you have good parties, good events. And, we came up with Summerfest as kind of not really a competition, but just to kind of try to get his event back after he was done with his government work.
Sure.
We started that in 2002, I believe, or 2001 was the first Summerfest, and this will be its 19th year.
Wow.
I'm sorry, this is the 18th year. So it was
18th,
2002, the 18th year, because we're a couple of years behind the year. But it's grown. The biggest Summerfest we've done is 1,200 people. It averages about 600 to 700 people, and we challenge the guys every year. Like, if you come to one Summerfest, you can come back the next year and it feels like an entirely new event.
Sure.
And I feel that's where a lot of events kind of lose their lackluster is once you've been to them a few times, you kind of done it.
Yeah.
And, I don't want anybody to ever say that about Summerfest. And I think that's why the longevity has ran its course and it doesn't seem to be losing any steam or motivation is we reinvent the same event every year. And it's one of the hardest things to do, but you have to do it. Otherwise it'll just go away.
Oh yeah.
Well, I mean, and think about it. What other, event have you seen somebody launch a motorhome over top of a DC-3?
Yeah. All right.
For the record, that is probably the coolest fireworks display I've ever seen in my life, including beating out the world record one in the place that we don't talk about.
Well, how did this come about that you were going to launch this thing? I mean, wow.
So we do a lot of fireworks show, and I'm blessed to have people in my network that love to blow stuff up. I have stunt people that I know, and it's just a good forum for it, And the thing about those stunts is that, and it is a total need to know basis. Like 90% of my staff have no idea what's going to happen, and it's only the people that need to be involved know. And it's like, it's I don't even know what it is. It's like classified times 10.
Sure.
Where I want to impress the people that work hard for me just as much as I want to impress the people that are there for a visit. And, there's always a lot of excitement and buzz around the fireworks show because we always do a pretty cool UFO jump.
Yep.
And then we blow something up, whether it's, jumping the RV over the DC-3 or, whatever we do. It's always kind of a little bit redneckish, but, we are in the middle of the country in Ottawa, Illinois, so we're allowed to be a little redneck. And, But again, we just keep trying to reinvent it. What can we do that's cooler? And, there are some stunts that came across on our little think tank that I wouldn't there's no way, man. I like a little bit of margin of error. And when they're like, oh, you can swoop under this thing that's going to be on fire, jumping over top of you that weighs 2 tons. I'm like, maybe we'll try something different.
Oh man. Well, it's funny because before I started working in Chicago, I'd never been out that direction for a Summerfest. And every year that I worked, I would only be able to go briefly visit what was going on at Summerfest because, of course, I was working as well. But it's the only boogie that I know of where people would go to the boogie no matter what. They're going to go every year, and maybe they'll jump.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll get a skydive in, but it's not. It has nothing to do with that. And these are people that don't just have a few jumps. These are people that have thousands and thousands of skydives that are going to go for the entire boogie, and maybe they'll put their rig on. But it's that good a time, and it's that big a draw, and it's that much of the. I mean, it's call it almost a Burning Man of skydiving kind of need to go to event for a lot of people, and that's just not in the States. That's around the world.
And
I mean,
if it's a record year, then it's really going to be big.
oh, fucking hell.
Yeah, so we've moved the records away from Summerfest because the records are now, it's too big of an event to do on top of a big event. So we kind of separated those out. But yeah, I mean, like, you know, we try to make Summerfest cool. You know?
Well, the logistics of either the records or Summerfest has got to be insane. So when this shit's going on, are you able to get out there and let your hair down and enjoy, or is it just, are you 100 miles an hour working it?
Yeah, for sure. You know, like, again, I say I have the best staff in skydiving because they love what they do. And when it comes to an event, we all collapse in. Our job titles mean absolutely nothing. And whatever needs to get done, we need to get done. So, you know, we'll have people that, you know, maybe their job is to work in the office, but they're out there cleaning toilets, taking trash out. You know, whatever needs to happen happens because we want to make sure that everybody has a good time when they come back.
Sure.
So, man, my staff really put their best foot forward, and we just, whatever hurdles in front of us, we just tackle with it without any sort of resistance or you know, this isn't my job type, you know, mentality. And you know, I think it shows that, you know, DZ Awards keeps naming it the best boogie ever.
Oh yeah.
And it's definitely evolved where I agree in the past it used to be a huge party, but now you can actually come to Summerfest as a novice skydiver or any type of level skydiver and leave a better skydiver. You know, we have rhythm and core, and I think we had 37 people on the LO list last year.
Wow.
And we dedicate each person to a specific type of skydiving, whether you're intro free fly, intro belly fly, all the way up to ninjas, tracking angles, all the good stuff. And you can leave a better skydiver, which I think is ultimately what we're trying to produce with Summerfest. You know, there were some years that definitely are more party years, but I think the latest versions of Summerfest, there's a lot of skydiving. There's definitely partying every night, but the last night is the full blowout party where everybody lets their hair down. And, you know, I remember a few Summerfests, I had people walk up to me because I DJ a little bit. And I remember one guy walked up to me and he's like screaming at me to turn the music down because it was like 2:30 or 3 in the morning. And I was like, yeah, sure, I'll go tell the owner. And, you know, that guy, I saw that guy later at a different drop zone, and he's like, you don't remember me, do you? I'm like, no, actually I don't. He's like, I was the one that told you to turn the music down. I'm like, oh, I see you. I hope you understand why that didn't happen.
Yeah, that was not going to happen. Well, to take a few steps back, so you got started in your skydiving career in basically an operation that was family built. I mean, your dad built this place from the ground up with his close friends, and you strolled in and decided you were gonna embrace the lifestyle. So you start jumping at a very young age, and you're packing and making good money. But when did you start jumping for money, and when did you decide competition is what I want to do this, I want to try that? I mean, what was that progression for you?
Yeah, so you know, I was packing and I started jumping, and obviously when you make the most money is the weekend, so I wasn't jumping too much because I was still going to school. But when I was 18, I started getting all my ratings, and I remember my dad very vividly being like, hey, you should get a tandem rating just in case, you know, we need you for some tandems here and there. And I was like, yeah, sure, I'll get a tandem rating. And I think that year I did like 1,000 tandems. I see what you did there, Dad. You know?
Most parents just get their kids to pack.
Yeah, for sure. But it was fun. You know, I was making some pretty good money. And, you know, when I was 18, I went to my first nationals in Sebastian with a free fly team because it was the first year free flying was a discipline, and came in 6th place. And, you know, I didn't realize that this is how ignorant I was. My team showed up with 6 different free rounds, right? Free flying is an 8-round event. There's 2 compulsory rounds and then 6 free rounds. I didn't realize that you're supposed to do the same free round every single time. And we had 6 different free rounds, all of which were mediocre because, like, that's a lot of moves to come up with.
Yeah, it is.
And I definitely got educated that first year. And, you know, and then the rest is history. I started going almost every year, competing in, I think I've competed in everything except for crew. and medaled in everything except for crew, which is kind of a good accomplishment, I think.
Yeah.
And, as it progressed, the subjectivity of free flying just kind of rubs you the wrong way when you're, not scoring the scores that you want. And we started moving to a point basis. And, VFS came along with my sister and Eric Darren kind of leading the charge. And once that happened, man, I really kind of fell in love with the VFS and have been doing that for, 10 years now.
Sure.
And just came back from France with Core, winning the indoor world championships. And it's fun, man. I honestly, what I've learned over 20 years of competing is that, the competition is fun. The training is very difficult, but ultimately, like once you find the right teammates, winning is a side effect of just not letting your teammates down. And I've had great teammates throughout my entire career. I'm not kind of dissing on anybody, but definitely the team I have now are like some of the best teammates. Just the vibe of it and how we mesh together is really cool.
Well, I mean, isn't that what it is anyway? I mean, you can liken it to a relationship with a couple. Some people are just better together as a team, or they're better apart. Doesn't make them bad people or bad skydivers. They're just not as good, these two together as a team, as the others. So Skydiver is a standalone, but not necessarily a great team. So it's a matter of finding the right people that are going to make that kick-ass mix.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you basically marry these people too, right?
Oh, yeah.
I think given the discipline that I am, I think I touch my teammates more than I touch my wife, which may be a bad thing, but
Right. You must have done it right at least once, because you've got a little one now, don't you?
Yeah, that's right. I've touched her at least once. Exactly.
Now, does your wife skydive?
She has. She's an attorney. She has 60 jumps, and she's very. She doesn't like architecting on the fly, right? And I can't give her every scenario that's going to happen in the sky. Sometimes you have to just make decisions based on it's like a game of poker, right? You have to make decisions based on the hand in front of you, not knowing every combination that could possibly happen.
Sure.
And given her background of being a lawyer, she likes law, statute, resolution, and she likes that very methodical. There's A's going to happen, B's the result, and she just wasn't her thing. And I always kind of joke opposites attract, right? And she lets me jump, and she's supportive, and it's great. And I watch Rocket while she watches law movies. And
Yeah, well, it's kind of funny. I talked to Patrick Kay in an earlier podcast, and of course he and his wife are both jumpers, but they don't jump together. And he's fervent about that. I'm not jumping with her. I'm not coaching her for shit. There's no way in hell. That's the biggest mistake you could possibly make. And Junior here will vouch for it as well.
I do a little bit of it. We jump together every once in a while, but it's very rare and few and far in between.
I personally, unless you're like Craig Girard, who got lucky and found his perfect soulmate who happens to be a badass skydiver, I think jumping with your significant other's tough.
It's like the old saying, you should never teach a family member how to drive a stick shift, right?
Damn straight. Yeah, absolutely. So you just got back from the huge indoor competition. I mean, this is...
we just got back from France, went over there. We lost in Montreal at the last World Meet, which was unfortunate. And boy, what a motivator that'll be. And we certainly didn't want to lose at this one. So we trained a lot. And it was, I'm an outdoor skydiver enthusiasm to the fullest degree. And man, we've been doing a lot of indoor stuff. And, I heard the phrase at the World Meet in France, they're like, man, there's 2 more rounds before outdoor season starts. And I was like, man, I resonated with that a lot.
Sure.
I'm like, I can't wait to skydive, man. I'm sick of being in the tube.
Well, what do you think about the, indoor, the tunnels now are their own sport in its own. There's people that have never seen the bottom of a nylon canopy that are badass flyers. I mean, how do you feel about how much it's been a game changer?
Yeah, I have mixed feelings about the wind tunnels. Just to start to comment on that, I believe that a wind tunnel can make a better skydiver. I don't believe that the wind tunnels are making skydivers. So I think we have to walk a very delicate line on how USPA and skydiving as an industry embraces wind tunnels. I don't think that they're bad, but I just don't think we can pour all of our resources into tunnels, because all of a sudden skydiving is going to be this sport that we used to do. And if you look at the youth of today, they're all in the wind tunnels, because they can fly in the tunnels, But B, if the youth isn't participating in skydiving, then there's going to be no future skydivers,
Sure.
right? Like obviously it's just the natural progression. So, like I have mixed emotions about the museum and the wind tunnel being right next door. It's probably a different podcast topic, but I certainly think that the wind tunnels are starting to become its own sport and popularity. And unfortunately, they didn't get into the Olympics, but I think there's potential for that. And I guess I'm still an outdoor guy, but
Oh yeah, well no, you and I both. I mean, I actually started my career as a tunnel instructor in the old Vegas tunnel way back in the day, and I enjoy the new tunnels, but I am not what you would call a tunnel flyer. And I remember the mentality about tunnels as the first iFlies came out was that it was going to be something that was going to aim people and drive people towards skydiving. I don't think anybody envisioned that it would become its own end all and be all, and it kind of has. So you're right in that I don't think it did what a lot of people thought it was going to do. It didn't up skydiving, it just upped tunnel flyers, which is, there's nothing wrong with that, but it's not quite a direct translation. And although it definitely does help out in skill in the sky, there's no replacement for stepping off an airplane.
No, but like Rook said, it's made the skydivers better.
Sure.
You see better flyers, and I think it was the 69 way head down record, which I think it was Rook or Mike or one of those guys looked over at Derek Cox, and he had very few skydives at the time. He was definitely on the largest parachute out of everybody that was flying. And you look over him like, "Can you stick it?" He's like, "Yeah. Where do I need to go?" And
Sure.
There he became the first $30 whore.
Yeah, no. I think
aren't you one of those people too, Junior?
I was the second one. Not for that record, for the following one.
It's a funny story though, and I think we should say it, is that Junior came out to one of the records. I think it was a 108 way. Was it?
The 108 was the one that I was the $30 whore on. The 69 way was the one that I almost got cut because you didn't remember what my real name was.
Yeah, well, I thought it was the 108 way that we're rotating people in, and you walked up to me and you're like, "Rook, why are you putting these other people in?" I was like, "Dude, you're not on the list." And then I was like, "Your name isn't Junior," because we were looking at like the list that's on the FAI website.
Right.
And I'm like, "There's no Junior on this list." He's like, "Dude, that's not my name." I'm like,
Yeah. Oops.
Yeah, there was two of those. I think that was the second time, but the 69 way, you walked up to me and I when you guys announced who was going to be on the record, and I was like, "Oh, awesome!" And you walked right up to me. You're like, "Bro, you almost got cut." He goes, "If I had to go find, I think it was either TJ Langren or Sporto, late at night to try to figure out what my real name was, so I could actually get on the record."
You gotta love it. Oh man. I mean, I think that honestly, I think that the tunnels are a mixed blessing. I'm a lot like you in that I think they add a lot to a skydiver's value as far as being able to get out and train. I think they're a detriment in regard to basic safety in the beginning. If somebody's too cocky in the tunnel and they don't know how to fly a parachute, or they don't know break off and they don't know traffic patterns and stuff, I think that's where it gets kind of scary. And I think that's where it just comes down to proper training, throughout somebody's career. That's the only place that I see the tunnel being a bit of a detriment.
Yeah, but you look
I agree. As far as the business standpoint, like we see a continual drop in tandem jumps, but I start to hear the conversation, "Hey, have you gone skydiving?" "No, I've done the indoor."
Mm-hmm.
And that to me shows content. Like maybe they were going to skydive, but then they went and did indoor, and now they're good because they did the virtual reality and look like a retard flying around in this tube, and they just didn't want to jump out of an airplane. I'm like, come on, get outside.
Yeah, well, we're fucking Jesus. We're living in a generation where people are living their entire lives, with a fucking phone in their hands. So, as depressing as it is, I don't see that changing. People are really happy to take the next best thing instead of going out and doing the real thing, which is. That's a whole nother fucking podcast too. That's just what's wrong with us as a society anymore.
Yeah,
I mean, holy shit.
Down the rabbit hole there.
Right? Yeah. I mean, you just you have no idea what it's really like until that door opens and you got to step out of the airplane. And I don't care if they can make it exactly the same sensation-wise in the tunnel. It's never going to be jumping out of a plane ever.
Yeah, I agree.
Speaking of jumping out of airplanes, What's it like from your side, being on the first few free fly or the first few head down records to the transition to where you started organizing them, and now you're getting larger and larger and larger and needing more and more organizers to help out with it? What's it been like for you to watch that grow?
Yeah, it's been good. I remember there was an article and they're like, what are the two things you want to do in life? And I was like, A, own a house without wheels, and B, organize the first 100-way head down record. And I did it in the same year. And I was like, well, God, what do I do now? But it's great, man. Like, definitely, keeping on that tunnel subject, now we have to ask people, well, how many jumps do you have? How many tunnel hours do you have? And there's people that have been on records with 200, 300 jumps, and that's it. You know what I mean? And they got 500 hours in the wind tunnel, which is great, but it's cool, man. I'm really kind of bummed about this last record given the weather situation, but this is the first time we kind of left without getting a record. So it's good in a way, it makes you want it a little bit more, makes people deserve it a little bit more. Certainly it's a lot more work for us, but if it's what you do, it's what you do. And it's great. I'd love to see that 200 number be eclipsed. And had we had good weather, man, we would have gotten it no problem. I just, when we finished that event, I was so bitter that I didn't watch any of the videos. And then Ryan Patrick made the video for us. They had kind of a recap. And watching those videos, I just got so angry because we were so close to it. And had we had just a few more tries, we would have got it no problem. And I think that's just the competitive side of me.
Sure.
And really all I'm trying to do is beat my own record. So I'm not really sure who I'm competing against, but it's just my nature just wanting to do it better.
Sure. Well, what's the next step in it? What are you guys thinking about for the next attempt? How long? How many people? What's
for sure? So we'll probably ramp up to do the same thing, a 200-way, and in 3 years, that's the cycle for it. I want longevity in that project to where if we did it every other year, people would get sick of it and we'd run out of people. You know what I mean? It's something that people need to witness. And, I have people that come up to me and they're like, Rook, I watched you in 2015 and I sat on the ground and you got the record and I told myself I was going to be on the next one. And ultimately, like, you give people that drive and the goal and a reason to be in the sport. And that's fulfilling. You know what I mean? Like, that's super rad that, I can influence people in a manner to them getting after these 3 years of skydiving and achieving their goal. It's a lifelong goal because at the end of the day, you could become a really good skydiver. And then what do you have to show for it? I'm in debt. I have no retirement and my joints are sore. But if I can give these guys a record and they can put that picture above their fireplace of them and every person that walks in their house, look, that's me on a 200-way. Well, then it gives them justification, right? It gives them a purpose and some drive, and that feels good.
Yeah,
for sure.
Absolutely. Well, I remember watching, I started jumping 95-ish, right as free flying was just starting to come into its own. And I remember watching in a trailer in Paris Valley with a couple of buddies, stoned off my ass, watching the Chronicles 1 video with Olaf Zipser running upside down to the camera to a Sublime song, doing a couple of cartwheels, and then back on his head and running away. And whether it was my state of mind or what he actually did, I sat there and went, what the fuck did I just watch? Holy shit. I want to be able to do that. And of course, then for the next couple of years, I'm trying to figure out how to, learn to deliver pizzas because that's how you flew, and meanwhile,
we all deliver pizzas.
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Meanwhile, I'm trying to recreate the same thing in the Vegas tunnel, which if you've ever flown in there is, it's a great ride. It's a lot of fun, but you cannot fly like that in there. And so just being able to see that kind of thing going on, but now to see, a 200-way, I never would have conceived of something like that. When I started out, it was a big deal if you got 3 people together.
Yeah, sure.
And it just has grown so much more. And I don't know where I see it. I almost see it at this point that the limit's going to basically be eventually lift capacity and landing area.
Yeah, for sure. It's going to be lift capacity, but I think we're a ways out from that. There's a lot of airplanes in the States that we can utilize. And, we do the projects during the week, a Monday through Friday. So, we can steal a lot of airplanes of people that need them on the weekends. And, and it's cool, man. Like the first record was an 18-way. that we did in Sebastian what did we do that in, like 2004 or something like that? Earlier than that. It was 2002, I think. And to think, in a handful of years we're doing 200. I mean, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's
that's
just
super.
such a crazy fast progression. It's so fantastic. Well, and you've got the fleet there to be able to do some pretty substantial jumps just with your own operation. I mean, how many aircraft did you say you're running now?
Yeah, I mean, we could do 100 ways on any given weekend. It would take a little bit of logistics, but we can do that.
That's obscene. Oh my God. And it's primarily otters, yeah?
Yeah, there's the 3 otters and the Skyvans, and it's no secret that the military is kind of, it works well if you can get into that gig. So, like as I mentioned, the tandem market seems to be kind of not the greatest as it used to be, unless you talk to Mike Veter out in Oceanside, who's doing 1 million tandems a year, which is great.
Yep.
But for the rest of us who don't live between LA and San Diego, and given there's the wind tunnel situation, like the tandem market isn't what it used to be.
No.
And so just trying to find other avenues of revenue, and, military is definitely one of those things that is out there that you got to kind of get after.
The tandem market seems to have gone to very much a location-driven moneymaker now. Because if you go to places like Oceanside, or you're in New Zealand, or you're in Dubai, or you're in the Bay Area where you're over the coast and you've got these amazing views, then they don't really see as big a dip just because it's that wow factor. I mean...
Yeah, the destination for sure.
Yeah, the destination tandems I don't think have really backed down. But at the end of the day, you're in a corn.
Yeah.
So
we are definitely, it's God's country, man.
Oh yeah. For as many times as I've flown from CSC to Skydive Chicago, never once would I have spotted that fucking drop zone before I was over the top of it.
Yeah, for sure. Because I think the people that made cartoons where they have the same background just running behind whatever's on the screen, they definitely grew up in the Midwest.
Right.
They have driven Midwest.
It's so funny though, because I didn't know a lot of the history of Midwest skydiving before I ended up working in Hinckley. And I was when I went to CSC for the first time, the first 3 years I was there was before it went to Rochelle in Hinckley, and I had no idea how much history was there. And then I started to hear more and more about it, and from I talked to your sister, I talked to Dan BC, and all these guys that got started in the Midwest, and really that's kind of where modern skydiving in the U.S. kicked off. I mean, it's... Yeah,
I mean, a lot of homies started here. I mean, like, what else is there to do? You know what I mean? If you're not a farmer, like, what else are you going to do? Jump out of an airplane, right? Sure, because you're not surfing, you're not snowboarding. There's a lot of I should say there's a lack of a lot of things to do.
Sure.
So.
Well, now outside of skydiving, have you got any drives, any other extreme activities that you're up to?
Yeah, I mean, I do a couple of base trips a year, which is pretty fun. I get to travel across the world, and I think there again, I look at base trips like destinations, right? Jumping over the shipwreck in Greece and going to Mexico, big cliffs and stuff like that. Like, I'm not, climbing the local tower. You know what I mean? Sure. I've done it, and I'm kind of progressed past that, but it's always something adventurous. Doing a lot of stuff with the family now, which is really cool and a new adventure for me, and been really having fun there. And yeah, just trying to stay relevant and having fun.
Which is exactly what it's supposed to be about. I mean, what do you see as the future for Skydive Chicago? What are you pushing for? Are there any new things on the horizon?
Oh man, I have records basically every year until the next head down co-ed record. The staff, I kind of brief them on, like, people I don't think are going to move to the Midwest and live in Chicago and jump, especially if you're not from here. But to look at the drop zone like a Red Rocks venue, and we have a lot of people wanting to do their events here. And, I don't think there's a single weekend there's not an event happening. I think Memorial Day kicks it off, and then until October, there's an event every weekend, and not just our events, but people coming here with their, with their 20 ways, 60 ways, chick events, and
sure.
And that's, we're already booking the calendar for 2020, so we're definitely becoming that kind of destination place for people to do events, because we do them well. We have the facilities, and a lot of times people enjoy traveling to do these things, just like a destination tandem.
Sure.
They want to do a destination event, so a bit of that stuff. And hopefully down the road, Rocket wants to take over so I can just drink margaritas and cut the grass here.
That's it.
He's gonna want to be a dentist, and I'm going to be like, man, I could have sold this place 20 years ago. And
All right. Well, now,
but it's,
obviously in the Midwest, we already talked about make hay while the sun shines, so to speak. But you've got options nowadays outside of it. Once the weather turns to shit in the Midwest, which I've been, I've seen way too much in my life.
That's where I got my start.
I'm never fucking doing another Chicago winter, never. But you've got options. I mean, you do other stuff. You've been down to Puerto Rico every year, haven't you?
yeah, we don't do the Puerto Rico trip anymore, but I've had Mexico drop zones. We have the long-term contract in Sebastian, so that's kind of where we winter most of the time, and then do a handful of stuff. We did a Bahamas trip just recently. We're working on a Jamaica trip. We've done the Panama trip. We got a group going to the Maldives this year with Rich Grimm, which is going to be awesome. And yeah, man, just trying to stay somewhat busy in the winter, because as you know, the winters can be trying here in the old Midwest.
Yeah, they
Cold
can.
and snowy.
I ended up spending all 4 years that I was flying for Chicagoland on the road with that plane, and a lot of shitty hotel rooms just to stay the hell away from that weather, man.
You loved it too, right?
Yeah, every minute of it. It was just amazing. Yeah, no. So you've got the Sebastian thing. How long did you do Puerto Rico for?
Man, we did it for a while. I think it was 8 or 9 years.
Yeah.
And then, those guys are just an interesting group of people to work with.
I've heard stories.
Yeah. So, it is what it is. There's no hard feelings. I just don't need to be there. And there's other things to do. So
I had the opportunity to go down that direction because I decided I was going to go try and be an adult for a while. And when I left CSC, I ended up going to Seaborne Airlines, which is out of St. Croix. We'd fly into San Juan all the time. And I kind of went to check out. I was going to go check out the drop zone, and was given some advice that kept me from ever going to visit. So I never did make it out that way.
But even after pulling out of Puerto Rico, you still did some philanthropy stuff when they had the what was it?
Yeah,
that went down there. I know
you were you were the first the first skydiving aircraft into the disaster, weren't you?
You flew in there, were taking rescue animals and stuff.
Haiti.
Yeah, when Haiti had the earthquake, we went down there a couple of times, and then because we're in Florida, right? Like if you have the resources to help people and you don't, you're just an excuse of a human being, really.
Yep.
And and then when they had the hurricane take out Puerto Rico, we got connected. One of the jumpers in Sebastian was like, "Hey, Rook, can you go down there and get these animals?" And I'm like, "Sure." And got connected with some networks down there and some people that helped made those trips happen. And man, they were bringing back like 50 dogs at a time. And the coolest trips, and unfortunately I didn't get to do it. Dave Schwartz did I think most of them. And he said, man, like when he brought the first couple of trips, the dogs back and pets, because people just had to leave the island and they wouldn't let them take pets with them. So the reuniting of the animals to the owners, he said, was just tear jerking. You know what I mean? Here's these guys that this dog has been their best friend that they just had to leave on the island. And then for him to be able to bring him back stateside and be like, here's your dog.
Yeah.
Like, man, that was, and then towards the end, we were just bringing shelter dogs back where the shelter couldn't really support because there was no infrastructure down there anymore.
Sure.
So we're bringing those animals back, and they were giving them to local shelters to give away. And man, it was really cool. And we got to meet Kenny Chesney was involved with that, and was on I think it was on the Ellen show that they brought some of the dogs on. So there was some good exposure, and I'd never really do it for the exposure, but it's always nice to see.
Nice little side effect.
Yeah, a nice side effect. And
now, when you went into Haiti, that was some serious bush flying. I mean, they were landing off field in the middle of nowhere, weren't they?
Yeah, we did everything into Port-au-Prince, and it was cool the first couple of trips. And by the time we were done, there's a saying that you can give a guy a fish and you can teach a guy how to fish, and there's one of them that's going to last a whole lot longer. And there was so much goods going into Haiti that I didn't feel bad that we were done. And I mean, the airport was inundated with stuff. I mean, and the stuff was going bad because it was pallets and pallets of water sitting out in the sun.
Sure. And
food and all this stuff just sitting out on the airport because they couldn't get it to where it needed to go fast enough. And I mean, there was like cargo planes, like 747s coming in there. There was every every airplane known to man, and it was such a cluster because it was a single runway airport.
Sure.
So you sometimes have to like hold short for like 30 minutes getting out of there. And that's when I was like, man, they're getting stuff, and we should be bringing them fishing poles right now.
Right,
you know, like
right.
this is how you guys survive. We've given you enough to make it past this hurdle. And
What-
you know, when I'm starting to load up keyboards and stereos and TVs in the back of the airplane,
Jesus.
like, all right, like we've did it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, and when you got the food and water just rotting in the sun on the runway because politics and red tape have taken over, then it's time to walk away.
It was sad, you know, like we were, and this is probably the wrong thing to say on the radio, but I mean, our tires were flat rolling out of the airports in Florida, and we were bringing our fair share of stuff down there.
Right? For sure.
Yeah.
Well, man, I'll tell you what, though, you were right, though. If you've got the resources to do it, I mean, at least you did your fair share. And when it got to the point where you realized you weren't making a dent in it or it wasn't helping anymore, then why the fuck would you? You know, I mean, at that point, you get to hold your head up high and go, no, we did our bit for sure. And, you know,
For sure.
and not a lot of people get to say something like that. And you wouldn't expect that for any non-skydivers listening to the podcast. I guarantee a lot of them are now kind of surprised. Oh, wait, you mean these guys aren't just a bunch of nutcases that throw themselves out of airplanes and party too hard? You know,
we do that
there's a bit
too.
of that, but we are human.
yeah. It just one of the funny things is I don't think people get that impression. They wouldn't think that would be something that would be done. And I remember when all that was going on, being jealous that I wasn't able to hop in and do any of those flights, because I just thought it was the fucking coolest thing ever, especially as a jump pilot that usually just goes up and down and lands on the same field. Holy shit, I get to go straight for more than 30 seconds, and I'm going to go
gotta
do
check
something. And yeah, just amazing. Super, super cool. And I mean, what an awesome reason to do it. You know, hopefully there's never another reason to go that route, but you know,
For sure.
yeah.
My hat's definitely off to you guys. I mean, it was amazing when I saw. I think it was Dave Schwartz had posted up a picture on Facebook, being down there, and there was so much other stuff going on. I never reached out to you, but man, I was super impressed that you took the time away from skydiving and from flying and stuff like that to allow your aircraft down there to do that kind of stuff. It was awesome.
Well, and nothing in regard to aircraft is inexpensive. There's
No.
nothing cheap about. Well, what's the old horrible joke? And I'll say it because it's my podcast. If it floats, flies, or fucks, rent don't buy.
Yeah. I thought you were going to do the other one, which is if you want to make $1 million skydiving, start with 2.
Yeah. Well, same thing. But man, when it comes to planes, everything is so expensive. Actually, I'm going to open up an old wound. I think it was your aircraft. 2 Skydive Chicago Otters. Wasn't there a problem with a startup and one taxied into another?
Oh yeah,
Oh,
that
had to sting.
was a rough morning. In fact, that was on the way to Puerto Rico.
Was it? Oh
Maybe that's
man.
why I don't do that trip anymore. But
Oh.
yeah, we had all 3 of them lined up, just ready to taxi out, full of fuel, right? 300 plus gallons of fuel. And one of the we always do like a quick overview maintenance wise before they head out, because, it's 7 hours over the water
Yeah.
to get there. And, the guys just do a once over, and they had pulled the hydraulic breaker.
Ugh.
And the way that we have to park in Sebastian, you have to like come at the tie downs 90 degrees and then do a sharp turn to get onto the tie downs, because there's a fence on the backside.
Sure.
And, if you do that sharp turn and don't straighten out the nose wheel after you do the turn, the nose wheel still turns
Sure.
basically to turn 90 degrees. And the hydraulic breaker was popped. This person was a little bit late for, getting out, pretty nervous, about to do their first flight over the water, 7 hours, starts the airplane, goes to engage generators, realizes that she's got no brakes, she's got no steering, and taxis the airplane straight into the other one, prop to prop. They're both running, and just destroys. Yeah.
Oh my
You can
God.
imagine.
Yeah.
I can only imagine like what that noise was like, right?
No.
Because it ripped one of the engines in half. Like it was a rough day. I wasn't there. I was actually in Colorado, and I remember the phone call that Dave Schwartz made to me that morning, because I told him, I'm like, hey, just call me, man, if anything goes wrong. And like my kids, my airplanes are a lot like my kids, and I get this phone call at like 4 a.m.
Oh.
And I just knew what was happening, right? I picked up the phone and I could hear it in Dave's voice. Dave's like, man, Rook, it's bad. And I was like, is anybody dead? And he's like, no. I'm like, it's not that bad. And he's like, no, it's bad.
Oh no.
I was like, nobody died, dude. It can't be that bad. And he's like, man, it's bad. He's like, I'm gonna send you some pictures. And man, I saw those pictures and my heart sank. I was just like, I was so happy that nobody got hurt because like, and there was no fire.
Right.
I could not believe that there wasn't a fire given the fact that they were just full of fuel, you know, a turbine engine, 680 degrees centigrade, you know, like it's just a whole lot of fire and fuel and none of it happened. And I was just so thankful. A, nobody got hurt, and B, that, you know, things can get fixed.
Sure.
And we got them fixed. That happened in February. We had them both back up flying in June, which was a monumental task. And, you know, again, I can't thank my staff enough for putting in 16, 17-hour days, day after day after day to make that happen.
And for a lot of people in the industry that don't know, you guys do all your own maintenance in-house, don't you?
Yeah, we do pretty much everything. You know, we had contracted out some people to help us with that project because it was I had insurance money, which was awesome, and B, like there was no way we couldn't have handled that by itself. But you know, Justin and his crew, who you know, Dean, you know Justin.
Oh yeah, very well, very well.
He put so many hours into getting those airplanes going that you know, we all did, but he was the boots on the ground, like making sure that it was happening.
As long as it's not his alter ego Owen doing the work.
I think Owen got retired on that trip.
That's good. Yeah, I bet he did. That fucking snapped Owen right out of it. For anybody that knows Justin Carr, they're laughing right now because Owen was his alter ego with the wig, which I fucking love that guy. Oh man. Now I remember seeing the pictures of those two planes kissing, and I think my heart sunk probably almost as far as yours did. Yep. And I didn't think about the sound that it would have made as they collided. I thought about the second just before they would have collided and what must have been going through her mind. Because at that moment when you realize there is no fixing it. Fuck me.
For sure. We made a pretty good documentary on it. It's on Vimeo, titled The Accident. And it was really cool that I had people that are instructors for AMPs and flight instructors that had asked me if they could use that video in their curriculum. And I'm like, sure, man. And, you know, like the saying in skydiving is that let the dead teach the living, right? Like there's no reason we should live through an accident twice if it was preventable. You know, if somebody can learn something from that, gosh, man, like why wouldn't we want to distribute that and make that public?
Well, that's another big thing that Skydive Chicago is known for, as well as the training that goes into the staff, not just the jump staff, but the pilots and the mechanics that go into it. A lot of people don't realize that most jump pilots literally just get thrown into it. You know, I mean, I was kind of thrown into things to one degree or another, and it's trial by fire. You get it right, or you're done. But you guys go a long way to make sure that your staff is on their game, and that's a big deal.
Yeah, I mean, like if we ever want to make skydiving not this fandango sport, like we as an industry need to put our best foot forward, and we have to stop living in this, you know, false reality that, you know, we're just this bastard industry, and that involves training, you know, that involves investing in your team and not just, you know, hey, pull this off. Well, we don't want to pull it off, right? Like we're too, especially drop zones of the caliber of, you know, mine and other, you know, big drop zones that are around the nation. Like we can't just pull it off.
No.
Like we have to be a respectable industry, and that starts with, you know, let's hire good people, let's train them well, and, you know, let's show the world that we're not these crazy people.
Sure. Well, and I don't think it's a stretch to see that sometime in the near future, aviation regulation will eventually touch skydiving. And for the most part, skydiving is gone. They've gotten lucky for a very, very long time.
Self-regulating.
Oh, yeah.
How much better?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I mean,
mess that up.
a part 91 is the most amazing thing ever. And if you have too many accidents and too many incidents and too many people flaunting that, it's not going to be part 91 anymore. And I don't know of an operation in the United States that could survive under a 121 or a 135 operation.
Well, for those that don't, in that direction, didn't it?
And for those that don't know what that is, that just means a fuckload of regulation from the government, which is not necessarily a good thing, because the government generally sometimes doesn't know jack shit about aviation.
And for the industry, right? Like they maybe know certain things, but like if that were to happen, jump prices will be $40 to $50 a skydive.
Yeah.
Tandems would be $350 to $400 because of the amount of manpower that would go into everything.
Oh, yeah.
And it just wouldn't be as fun. And that doesn't mean it doesn't mean that, I should say that again, like, I don't think that we have to change what we're doing. We just have to make sure that there's a thought process going into what we're doing, and that there's education, and there's not just this like, let's pull it off mentality. Sure. No, let's do what we do and just do it well.
Well, and as long as you've got the mentality like that, owners like yourself and operations that are doing that, then the local FSDO is not going to feel the need, because they're going to realize that it's an operation that is truly being self-regulated, that's being instructed well, that's being run wisely and safely with proper training programs and all that stuff, and that's going to keep them from sticking their noses in too deep.
Yeah, amen.
Yeah, fingers crossed, right?
If only every drop zone owner had the same mentality, it'd be amazing.
Yeah, well, no, I mean, come on. One of the first skydiving aircraft I flew had a hole so big in between the pedals that I could spot by looking in between my feet. Okay. And the scariest part about that is that nobody in this conversation is the least bit surprised at that, something like that. Not at all. Sure. Not at all. Well, as we wrap things up, man, what do people need to know coming up for this upcoming season that you got? Summer's about ready to roll. Have you got any big events that they're going to want to get ready for other than Summerfest?
Yeah, of course. I mean, all the fests. So we have our Memorial Day boogie just coming. That kind of kicks off the season for us. We're 4th of July, our Freedom Fest. We're bringing back Indy 500 races, which is a lot of fun for me growing up. And we got a killer prize pack for the people that are winning. So it's straight up head-to-head double elimination pylon racing. So that should be kind of fun.
Awesome.
And then obviously we have the Summer Fest, and then we have our limited packages. So you can come here, pay one amount, jump as much as you want. And there's no real restrictions on that. So, I mean, I tell people to come twice to Skydive Chicago. Come during an event, you see the machine in motion, and then come any other weekend and hang out with us on like a more personal level and kind of see what it's all about.
Sure. Yeah, because I can imagine that coming when things are full swing can be a little bit intimidating for that new person. So you might want to just sit back and watch that happen, but then get the opportunity to come meet the people behind it all, which is cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
So how do they find you online? I'm assuming it's skydiveschicago.com?
Yep, skydiveschicago.com. All the social channels. I guess you could call us too.
Cool.
Or,
people do that?
Check out the website. Yeah, people can still do that, right? Check out the website. It's got the full calendar of events, Facebook, Instagram, all that stuff. We keep that pretty updated.
Cool.
And yeah, come on out.
Awesome. Yeah, it's people making phone calls anymore. Shit, I could barely get you on Skype because that's too old.
I have to reset a password,
right?
But we're good.
You got to do it. Well, Rook, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on. I'd like to have you on again sometime down the road, especially as you're edging towards that 200. I'd like to hear all about that shit.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate it. Thanks to the fucking pilot and Junior. Appreciate it. Good catching up with you guys.
Yeah, man, it's good catching up with you too. All the best this season, and all the best to the family.
Yeah, I appreciate it, guys.
Take it easy, brother. Blue skies. Well, there you have it. Another episode of the Lunatic Fringe podcast, brought to you as always by, well, wait, not as always, actually. Brought to you now by Gyro. Formerly known as NZ Aerosports, you'll head to gyro.com for their next level line of canopies. By Pussfoot, the Extreme Sports Collective. Head over to pussfoot.com to check it out. By Summit Parachute Systems, check out summitparachutesystems.com to talk to Jarrett Martin and the gang about kick-ass pilot rigs, rigging courses, and more. By Flyaway Indoor Skydiving, go to flyawaytn.com and check out all the cutting-edge stuff to come. By Pure Spectrum CBD, head to purespectrumcbd.com to check out their wide range of CBD products. And as for us, head to the lunaticfringepodcast.com to listen to any of the hundreds of episodes currently available, hit the link for our YouTube channel, pick up your copy of the Lunatic Fringe book or The Accidental Stripper, and get a sneak peek at upcoming guests. Once again, thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.
Damn.